Hello and welcome to week one preview episode of the Jefferson My Drinks Fantasy Podcast, the pod on a mission to normalise 8-team leagues. I'm Pete McManus and I'm delighted to be talking actual NFL football regular season about to kick off with Ian Harrison and Alan Monk. How are you, boys?
Yeah, pretty excited. It's finally here.
Yeah. Been a busy 2 weeks, hasn't it?
Yeah, we're recording Tuesday night, so we've got just over 48 hours until the Eagles absolutely destroy the Cowboys.
Yeah.
But more of that later on. For those of you who didn't watch us last year or didn't tune into us last year, what we tend to do during the regular season is we will split our show into 4 quarters, 15 minutes. We went away from that a little bit in the off season. Quarter one will be a review of the week that's just been, which obviously isn't relevant this week, but we'll talk about a couple of big moves, and then we thought we'd just quickly touch on some of our drafting and where that's got us and who we're looking at going into the season. Q2, we have a bit of a review on the UK Game Day app. Trying to think of the format. It's gone off the top of my head.
It's Game Day Captain, and then we do Selection Nightmare.
Yeah, what's the format called though? Daily Fantasy Football. That's what the
DFS.
word I was looking for.
Right,
Sorry, completely escaped me. So the UK-based Daily Fantasy Football Game Day. So we look at that. We also have our Selection Nightmares in Q3. We are doing something slightly different this year. We're going to look at our ones to watch for each position, and we'll get to that in Q3. And then Q4, we do a bit of a primetime preview, touch on how we feel our teams are going to get on this week. And then we've got, last year we predicted the primetime games. We may still predict the primetime games, but this year we are going to give you a touchdown treble. 3 guaranteed players are going to score a touchdown this week. So we'll kick off with the biggest news.
I hope you're going to say what I was about to say. The biggest news since we last recorded.
Is it Amari Cooper?
Is it Gabe Davis back to the Bills?
No.
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yes.
Is it Trey Hendrickson signing a contract?
That's not relevant.
I can't think of any other news that's happened in the last week, H.
Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged.
Oh, we're going with that one, aren't we?
Yeah, it's the biggest news of the whole NFL season. Congratulations to them. Thank you for the cap space that Taylor's given us.
Yeah, couldn't care less.
Moving on.
All right.
So the biggest news of the last couple of weeks was the Micah Parsons trade. Didn't see that coming. 2 firsts, and I've forgotten his name. That's tight. The player who's just not getting mentioned at all. 2 firsts and a player in return for Micah Parsons. I thought they'd pay him. I honestly thought they'd pay him.
Yeah, I thought they'd pay him. But the irony is they went out and paid Bland instead, didn't they, the week after or a couple of days later?
Yeah. But I mean, half as much. Like, it's not exactly the same
obviously,
thing, is it?
Half as much, but it's like they couldn't pay Bland unless they got rid of Micah Parsons, which is absolutely ridiculous scenes. But the Cowboys, I don't know what they're doing this year now. They won't be doing much.
I mean, it does lean into my... As long as Dak can stay fit, it does lean into the Cowboys are going to put up some points because they're going to have to put up some points. So,
CD Lamb is in wide receiver 1 this year. There is something going drastically wrong.
CD Lamb has got garbage time points written all over him. So I think, what did Chase get? Chase got a total of about 400 points last year in PPR format. CD Lamb could get 300 garbage time points alone this year in games that are just far beyond them.
But it might be that we don't actually see that much of that, though. They might be getting blown out that badly that they just bench him.
I hope not. I think I'm not exactly sure what the Cowboys are one of those teams where, like, earlier in their off season, they trade for George Pickens, so you kind of go, actually, they're going for it. then they don't draft a running back, and then they've got rid of their best defensive player, and you're just like, I don't know what you're doing at all here.
No, they're an absolute mess. And
Yeah.
those two first that they're going to get from the Packers aren't going to be high picks.
No.
No, they'll be 20 to 20. Well, he's somewhere around sort of 16 to 25, you'd expect, as a minimum.
Yeah, absolutely.
As a minimum 16.
So I know everyone's banging on about, two first. Yeah. Well, they're not going to be high picks.
No.
Unless they're going to package them to move up for something. But it's not a good deal for Dallas. They should have just paid him.
And how does this change how you feel about the Packers going into the season?
Not really. I think defensively they're going to look a lot stronger. However, I'm not confident in the receivers still. The run game's brilliant. I don't have the love that you have for Jayden Reed, and I just don't. The very good wide receiver twos, but there's no wide receiver one there. I think that could be something that they're really missing. Like I said, the defense will be a lot stronger, but they needed to upgrade on the defense anyway. At the minute, I think they've got a wide receiver currently turned cornerback playing as in their depth chart. There's a lot on the defensive side to still be desired, I suppose, but Micah Parsons is a massive, massive boost for him. And
what do we think? Just quickly on Jayden Reed, I'm cooling on Jayden Reed since I read that he's going to play through an injury this year. I was like, well, it's not a great way to start the season, is it? If you're going into week one going, I'll just play through an injury all year. So I am a little bit worried. I am a little bit worried about that.
I did tell you about this a few weeks ago, and you still didn't listen to me. And the fact that he has one of the worst drop ratios in the NFL.
Immaterial. He would have been brilliant this year had he not got injured. That's the problem.
And he learned how to catch the ball.
I can't. The problem now is that I can't be proven wrong, H, because it'll all be because of the injury. So he was going to be a top 10 wide receiver had he not got injured.
However, Pete, you can be proved mega right if he goes out and does it all whilst injured.
Oh, can you imagine? H is just not even going to turn up for the pod.
Yeah, he'd have to leave the podcast.
He'd have to quit. And how do we feel about that? Just lastly on Mike Parsons, $47 million a year. That's what, $6 million more than TJ Watt?
Yeah. 7 more than Garrett.
It's outrageous money, isn't it?
It's quite a chunk of change that for a non-quarterback.
But as H has said, the cap space will be going up, and it'll be going up again next year, thanks to T-Swizzle.
$47 million.
And Travis Swift. He's gonna take her name, 100%.
Reckon. Travis Swift Kelsey.
They'll definitely hyphenate it, won't they?
Yeah. Before we talk about our drafts, is there any other moves you want to talk about? Any interest in the Brian Robinson news? Does that worry about CMC at all?
No. It's a
very good backup.
CMC. It's a great backup. That reminds me, I need to get rid of Garando in every league I've taken him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got that one to sort at some point, but
I don't know if you remember this from our first Dynasty draft night, but I traded for him as it was about to kick off. So not only did it cost me a pick, but it cost me a ton of chocolate. So that's the chocolate league we have. So I've now got to go out and spend money on chocolate for a player that I've got no interest in, because unless Brian Robinson and CMC get injured, I don't think we'll be seeing Garendo this year. Right. Drafts are over. They're all done. I don't know about you, but I think I'm all drafted out. I love a draft, but you get to the point where you're like, I just want to see these players actually perform now, or not perform, and prove me right or not. I think I've finally got to the point where I've done enough drafts for the summer. I
fully agree with that sentiment. I've just finished drafting in the Sokolov Bowl.
Yeah,
it took 2 weeks to do a slow draft, and I'm all for people taking the clock, but Jesus Christ. I just could not wait for that draft to finish. I think draft fatigue is the way I'm feeling right now.
Yeah. Well, me and H jumped into one of Murph's 5-yard rush listener leagues last week, and luckily H messaged me because I was like, "Yeah, I'll jump in. It's all for charity. Donated a bit more money," and it was like standard scoring. So in my head, I was like, "Standard is what I'm used to. That's standard scoring." That's not what it meant. It meant standard scoring, as in non-PPR. So I'm watching all of these like running backs go off in the first round, and I'm like, what is going on here? So I was like, honestly, it must have been 30 running backs in the first 45 picks, or at least that's how it felt. It was pain. It was like, why are we picking these running backs? But I've not played standard scoring in like 8 or 9 years, so that was an interesting draft, to say the least.
And you still went wide receiver first round.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, still with CeeDee Lamb, obviously. So
madness, absolute madness.
I was late in the first round, to be fair. So before we do is, after all these drafts we've done, I thought it'd be interesting just to kind of go, like, let's have a look at our teams and see where you are particularly high on certain players. So anybody want to throw out I mean, it makes sense to start a quarterback. Anyone want to throw out a quarterback or have a guess at what mine are? Either or.
Well, yeah, as I was doing the prep for this, I went through all my leagues, and I instantly discounted all best ball leagues.
Yeah.
I then discounted all dynasty leagues as well.
It's interesting you did that because that's what I did. I just looked at I'm in 9 redrafts, so I've just looked at the 9 redrafts.
Oh, I'm in a few more redraft leagues, but I took away all the ones that have got funky scoring.
Right.
So I'm in 12 redraft leagues with relatively normal-ish scoring. Some might have a bit of a time premium, but there's no mad kicker scoring, or there's no, special teams yards from kickoffs and things like that. So Scott Fish went out the window immediately for that, and then the Rules Mania one with Murph, that went straight out the window, which is a dynasty anyway. But in my 12 redraft leagues with relatively normal scoring, I've got 4 quarterbacks, and I've got 3 times, and that's Baker, Justin Fields, Justin Hurts, and Brock Purdy.
Okay, so quite a lot of spread at quarterback.
I have, yeah. I like to dabble. There's a few that I absolutely haven't got anywhere, and you can probably guess one of them.
Is it Patrick Mahomes?
It is Patrick Mahomes. I've not got him in a single league, other than a best ball which also drafted for me last week. And so Mahomes, I was raging. But I've got no shares in Kyler Murray, no shares in Drake May, and that's not intentional. It might be that I rate them, but I just couldn't get them at the price I wanted to pay. Caleb Williams, 0 shares. JJ McCarthy, nothing. And I got nothing into Trevor Lawrence.
Is there any one of those that you would have really liked?
Probably out of all those, probably Drake May. I've also not got any shares of Justin Herbert, actually. So he's the one that I'd want. Yeah.
About you, H? Are you high on at quarterback?
So I've done exactly the same as you guys. I've ended up with... I found that I was drafting late in a lot of drafts, as in picks 7 and 8. So I've not really got any high value quarterbacks. So I say that, and then the one that I've got, or the 2 that I've got the most in, is Baker Mayfield and Joe Burrow, which with the Joe Burrow ones, I've got really lucky in about 3 or 4 drafts where he's fallen to me, where his value is really good. So I've enjoyed those ones. And then my late round ones, Drake May being the first one. Obviously, I'm massively high on him. And then the other's been Justin Fields as well, similar to Ian. I think with Fields, it's the rushing side of him and where he's landing. It makes him quite a lucrative pick. Like he's one of those sort of, I guess, low risk, high reward picks where you're picking him, especially if it's your QB2 in a lot of, where you can sub in and sub out, which I've kind of had to do a little bit with quite a lot of my leagues due to missing out on the sort of the big 5.
So, okay, cool. So I have 2 quarterbacks, way more than I have anybody else. Would you like to guess who those 2 are?
Dak Prescott and Jordan Love.
No, Kyler Murray.
Yes, correct.
Oh.
Dak Prescott and Kyler Murray. So in 9 redraft leagues, and bearing in mind a couple of them, I have taken 2 quarterbacks, and a couple of the one of them's a super flex. I've got Dak Prescott 5 times and Kyler Murray 4 times. So pretty much, apart from one, I think we've only got one team. No, I've got 2 teams. 2 teams out of those 9 that don't have one of those 2 players in. So that was quite heavy. I mean, I'm going to start running back. I've ended up the most. I had Travion Henderson in 5 of my 9 teams, which I didn't think. I sort of got higher on him as the summer went, and I didn't think I was as high as that. But I have another rookie running back who I'm now really worried about because I didn't realize he was in 6. Caleb Johnson, yeah, he's in 6 of the 9 teams I've drafted. So I was like, I'm really relying on him winning that job from Jaylen Warren and taking over that backfield.
Well, considering they've just extended Jaylen Warren and given him a pay rise, it doesn't look great.
Yeah, but to be fair to that, Jaylen Warren he was the pass catching back for a lot of it. That they used Najee Harris normally the first 2 reps and then went to a change of pace with Jaylen Warren. I think it could be quite a split backfield, but I can see Caleb Johnson being quite. I mean, we've not really seen anything of Jaylen Warren where you go, oh yeah, give me that. Like, do you know what I mean? Is the reason he's going undrafted in many redrafts.
I agree.
Very late.
My point was that I don't see Caleb Johnson winning the RB1 job outright.
No.
Now that they pay Jaylen Warren.
I'm banking on an injury now, aren't I?
Yeah, absolutely.
The only bit that worries me about the contract is, and it could be fine, but the thing that worries me for Caleb Johnson about the contract is they were quite happy to let Jaylen Warren walk. They sort of put a restricted tender thing on him at the trade deadline, ended up keeping him, then drafted a rookie running back, and then they've looked at both of them and then given Jaylen Warren a new deal. So if you add it all up in that order, it's like, well, that doesn't look great. But
yeah,
I mean, we think we all know Arthur Smith wants to use 2 running backs because even when he had Bijan Robinson, he wanted to use 2 running backs. So we'll just have to see which one gets the majority of the work and which one. And it can work, but I mean, this is the Steelers we're talking about, so they're not going to be scoring mega points. So that's where I'm at a running back.
Any running backs that you're not touching?
The one I'm worried about that I don't have any shares of is DeAndre Swift. And it hurts me to say that because I know how much you'll enjoy saying that. But the closer we get to the start of the season, and do you know what? The Brian Robinson thing was a big thing for me because I thought they'd be in for Brian Robinson because he's a perfect example of why I thought the Bears would have gone actually for a year or whatever. They've obviously decided they don't need another running back. All the talk of Rashawn Johnson's gone quiet, and I just through workload alone, I think DeAndre Swift. I don't think he's going to be good per touch, but I think he's going to get so much work.
Top 10 incoming.
It's quantity. It's quantity over quality. Unfortunately, I think with DeAndre Swift,
we'll take that for fantasy. My running back, I've got a running back in 5 out of 12 leagues, and it's Austin Eckler. And
I like
all of these picks were pre-Brian Robinson trade as well.
Nice.
I just liked him for the price I could get.
I like him. He's going to come up later in the show, Austin Eckler.
But a running back that I'm not touching is Aaron Jones.
Yeah, never have I.
I'm not confident he's gonna. I don't even think it'll be a 50-50 split by week 5 or 6. I think it'll be Jordan Mason with Aaron Jones taking.
I agree, but I haven't taken any Jordan Mason either. Jordan Mason's been going too high for me because for what I think you potentially get, I think it could be a bit of a split at least for half the year. So, and I think he'll at least take a lot of the pass catching off. I think Jordan Mason's really cut out to do that. H, who you've got a running back? Henderson.
So normally on the flip, I've got one of either Derrick Henry or CMC on the start of the second round. So I'm really happy with them. But then my late round ones, I've had Jaden Blue in 6 leagues, and Bayshall Tooten in 5. So they've been my late round pickups where I've gone, ooh, that's decent value, I'll take them. And I'd prefer them to some of the people that are around them as well. I think there's more. I think when it gets down to those later rounds, I've got a tendency of going, well, I know that they aren't great, whereas a rookie could surprise me. And I've ended up doing that. And that's why I've got Blue. That's why I've got Tooten over others.
I think they're both players that in 3 weeks' time, they're either going to look like absolute genius draft picks or will have completely forgotten who they were and we're not talking about them anymore. Which, in some ways, is kind of what you want later in drafts because it's like you just drop them and pick someone else up off the waiver wire.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no point in me talking about my wide receiver because you all know who it is. So it turns out that I'm a lot higher on CeeDee Lamb than everybody else. So out of the 9 drafts, I had the number 1 pick in 2 of them, and I went with Jamar Chase. And in the other 7, I've got CeeDee Lamb because it doesn't matter where I was, he fell to me. Fair enough. I'm relying on CeeDee Lamb. Ian?
In 8 of 12 leagues, I have got Chris Olave.
Oh, really?
Ooh, I like that.
Which I know it's high risk, but it could be high reward as well.
I don't think it's that high a risk though, where he's going.
If he takes the slight, if there is a strong breeze in New Orleans on Sunday that just happens to be around Olave's head area, he might be out for the season.
Yeah.
He's got a skull made of pudding.
Yeah, but he's a top player at the same time.
Yes, yes. It also doesn't help that his quarterback was throwing him hospital balls. Like, hopefully, I mean, I say that we don't know.
It could only be worse.
Yeah, it's probably going to be a lot worse this year. But there's some of the passes you just go like that was a dangerous pass, and no wonder you've killed your wide receiver. But hopefully, the Saints are a little bit better offensively, and I've actually got Olave in 3 leagues myself as well.
Do you want to trade him? Do you trade him to me? I'll have him in 11 leagues then.
Yeah.
Who's the highest for you, H?
10 lots of Nico Collins.
Nico Collins. Well, at least I like that though. At least that's he's a homer pick.
It's a homer pick.
The Texans anyway.
Yeah.
If you're gonna back on that highly, go with Nico Collins.
Yeah, I do have 6 Emeka Ibukas though, which I'm going to speak about him.
I've not got any of him.
Yeah, I'll speak about him later on. Anyway,
he started going higher and higher as August went on though. So if you weren't really a big fan, and I don't think you've got to really want to have him. And then finally at tight end, mine's obvious. Ian, who did you end up with? Kittle?
Yeah, no, I didn't actually. I've got Kincaid and Laporta in 3 leagues.
Okay.
It appears that I've mixed it up quite a bit.
Yeah.
But there's tight ends out there that I've got 0 shares in that I don't rate at all. Mark Andrews being one of them. I think he's done. Colston Loveland. I think he's
not finished. He's 29. Sorry.
And I've not got Kyle Pitts anywhere either, believe it or not.
You're not going to like my game day team. I think I might have dropped Kyle Pitts out of it because I thought I can't do that. H?
I've got 5 lots of Travis Kelce and 5 lots of Evan Ingram, who have been the later rounds, which I like with my tight ends.
I like Travis Kelce to have a strong start to the year with Rashee Rice out. I think.
Yeah.
The question for me will be what happens in the second half of the year. If Worthy's playing well and Hollywood Brown's all right and Rashee Rice comes back, I'm sure how much Travis Kelce's always going to have games and moments. I'm just not sure how much they're going to rely on him. And I like Ingram too. I've always liked Ingram. I think he's a good player. That was the longest first quarter I think we've ever done.
There's
a bit of overtime, wasn't there? We'll plough through this though, and we'll catch back up.
Right, game day.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking.
Like it. Fantasy captain for game day.
Yeah.
We've got
H is all over these graphics.
We've got new graphics, which clearly I forgot completely about because I was about to talk. So we've got new graphics, everybody.
Just for the people listening, one of our home league drafts a couple of weeks ago, H had a few too many to drink, and
Way too many.
He was making all sorts of pre-season podcast promises, and I said to Peter, like,
I've nailed them so far.
Pre-season H is my favorite kind of H because he overpromises and then just completely forgets anything that he's promised to do. But in fairness to H this year, he's actually backing it up. So
nailed it.
I liked it. And if you're not watching YouTube, now is the time to go to YouTube and see all of H's hard work. Then you can contact him on Twitter or through our Twitter.
And, because H isn't on Twitter.
And praise him. You can contact us at JMD Pod just to praise H. Or comment on the underneath the video.
It doesn't have to be praise either. Doesn't have to be praise either.
So Fantasy Game Day, for those of you who've never played Fantasy Game Day, it's a great app. You should download it. They have several different games now. The classic is the £7.50. I've forgotten what it's called. But
Sunday Stars.
Sunday Stars, that's the one. The £7.50 Sunday Stars. You pick a team, you get a budget. Each player has their individual price. You pick a team. Captain gets you double points, quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end and flex, and you work within the budget that you've got, and you watch your points add up, and then hopefully at the end of Red Zone on Sunday, you are sitting atop and take the chunk of the money. We had varying results last year, but some good results. I think, Ian, did you get a second at one point, first or second at one point?
I did get a second. I got a second place last year, yeah.
I think H won it at one point. So we've had some good results over the last couple of years, and we'll be getting involved in that again this year. We'll do each week. We'll do a bit of a review of how we got on individually, or nobody enjoys listening to our teams and our success that much, but we'll touch on that and where we think we went right and where we went wrong. For this week, as we're going into week 1, we thought we'd talk about potential captain options. I'll kick us off. I really like Brian Thomas as an option against Carolina Panthers. He's not too expensive. He's about the 5th or 6th most expensive wide receiver. I will get the price up for you now. I really like him, and I am going to stack him with Trevor Lawrence because I think there's a very good chance that Liam Cohen will want to get Brian Thomas going early. And I think he's 7,200, so he's not cheap. But that Carolina defense was historically bad last year. So even if they have improved significantly, they're still not going to be a very good defense. So I think he could come out and they could try and get him working early. I think it'll take them a bit of time to ease Travis Hunter in. So Brian Thomas is my pick for captain this week.
Okay. H?
I've gone with a little bit of a cheaper option, just purely on I really like the matchup, and I've gone Courtland Sutton at 5,800 going against Tennessee. Courtland Sutton's one of them players. He's always going to be steady. He's always going to get you points, but I have a feeling he's going to get a touchdown, which is going to be a massive boost on top of quite a lot of targets, because I think there's room for him getting a lot of targets. So I like his matchup. Tennessee didn't have a great pass defense last year, so I've gone that the Broncos are going to start fast, and Sutton's going to get some yards and some points for me.
Yeah, I like that. I like the Broncos on Sunday. Ian?
Mine is a homer pick, and I'm going with Chase Brown against the Browns, which if you want to go and get Jamar Chase, that's absolutely fine. He's £1,200 cheaper, more expensive, sorry. Chase Brown is coming in at $7,000, which I think is a fair price. And I think the reason he's going to have a really good game is because of Myles Garrett. Our O-line is going to really struggle to contain Myles Garrett. So Joe Burrow's going to have to get the ball out of his hands quickly, and he's going to have to be outside the tackles, and that's where Chase Brown lives.
Yeah, I like that. I think I like that for a high-scoring game. I think there'll be a lot of points scored on Sunday, and I think you'll
Yes.
win. I know there's been a lot of talk on various different predictor games that I'm in terms of you always not winning week 1, but I think
we do it every year, don't we? We have the same conversation. I think the Bengals will win, but we'll be 0-2.
I like it, and I like it for potentially 60+ points in that game, one like going back and forth. So I think Chase Brown. I think any of the options are pretty good, but I like the Chase Brown option. The only other one I wanted to throw out, just as a mention, is Christian McCaffrey's at 6,600. Christian McCaffrey will not be that low again for the entirety of the season. So the only reason I didn't go with him as captain is because there's not that many running backs I like. So I wanted him in one of my running backs slots instead of my captain slot. And while we're on the subject, the other one, Travion Henderson at 4,600 could be about as low as he was. So I'm taking you through my team now.
I've literally got Sutton, Henderson, CMC. I can't remember. I've got two tight ends. I think I've gone Kittle and Bowers maybe. I can't remember what else, but I've literally gone Sutton, CMC, Henderson as mine for the exact same reason. I think either the running backs are pricey and you've got to try and find two that you can use, or I feel like it's a little bit more of a risk this week putting them in it as my captain. As the season goes on, I will be RB heavy on captains because that's what I do.
Yeah. Ian?
Yes, mate.
Were you going to say something then?
No, I wasn't.
We really need to work out this running order properly and make sure we know what we're doing. Selection nightmare time. We've all got one. We are going to be asking listeners for theirs moving forward, but with everything we had going on, I've not had a chance to do that. We will be dipping into our JMD leagues, or anybody watching this or watching or listening to our pods can put one forward for next week. I don't know where to start because we sort of sent each other our selections, and I don't think you two have sent me the most polarizing selection nightmares ever, and we'll get into why. In fact, we'll start with yours, H. Tell us who yours is.
So mine is going to be one of the biggest selection nightmares I face all year, and it's going to be probably one of them that I have pretty much every week. So this is for a flex spot. It's not for my top two wide receivers. I've got Jackson Smith and Jigba, who is home to San Francisco 49ers, and he finished as wide receiver 9 last year. Or do I go Lad McConkey, who is home to the Kansas City Chiefs, who finished as wide receiver 13 last year? And that is for a flex spot. So if I put it into context, my two starting wide receivers are Justin Jefferson and Nico Collins.
So that
if that's the case, it doesn't really matter who we pick here. I would probably say put a running back in your flex.
Yeah. So this sort of answers my question. So my first question was going to be: is this a dynasty league? Because if you managed to end up with even with just them two, I was like, how has he ended up with them two and not playing both of them? So I figured out it must be a dynasty league. And I'm kind of with Ian. It's like, doesn't really matter, does it? Just give you the crown, and then let's move on.
Do you know who this one's against, Pete?
Against me.
It's in our home.
Rest in peace.
It's in our Espresso Martini Dynasty.
Oh my word! I'm going to get absolutely battered.
He's your favourite to win it. Your favourite to win it by about 10 points, and I'm like, how?
It's because I've got Trevor Lawrence. So I don't know what you think, Ian, but I think they're pretty hard to call, which is why you put it down as a selection nightmare. So I would literally put this down to the fact that yes, the Chargers are at home on paper, but they're not. They're playing in Brazil, so they're not technically at home, and they're playing a much tougher defense. I think the Chiefs defense will turn out to be tougher than the 49ers defense, which is who Seattle face. So I would go, I think there'd be potentially more points scored in the Seattle 49ers game. So I would go that way with Jackson Smith and Jigba.
Interesting, because I was going to say go with Will McConkey, because him and Justin Herbert have already got a pre-established game time connection.
I like that too.
Whereas Seattle, Sam Darnold, JSN, they might not have that on-field chemistry. You can do it all in training as much as you want. When it gets to actual game time, do you trust Sam Darnold more than you trust Justin Herbert?
That's a good point.
A very good question.
Yeah, so good luck with that, H.
Cheers, lads. Really helped me out there.
Our first selection.
I'll trade you for either one of those, H. And
sounds like you need to trade someone away.
Yeah.
Ideally before Sunday. In fact, trade both of them away before the weekend.
To Pete.
Yeah, because I'm not looking forward to that matchup. To be fair, I mean, I have got Jamar Chase and AJ Brown on the other side, so.
Well done, Pete. Well done, Pete.
So maybe it's not as foregone conclusion as it could have been. Ian, your selection nightmare's definitely the other end of the scale.
Oh yeah, it is, isn't it? Yeah, we're going peaks and troughs here. So yeah, I'm not looking at 2 top 15 wide receivers here. I'm looking at, in the Warrior Bowl, for my last flex spot, Adam Thielen against the Bears or Darnell Mooney against the Bucks.
So
I find this one easy. I don't know about you, Pete, but when he texted it, I found this really easy to answer.
Go on then.
I went Darnell Mooney. I think.
Okay, go on.
Go on. Sorry.
No,
yes.
No, you explain why first.
So my thought process is, I think the Falcons versus the Bucks is going to score heavy, and I have a feeling that Penix is going to latch onto one of the receivers, and it could be Darnell Mooney. Penix and Mooney Mooney had quite a good year last year as well. And although Thielen had a really good year, I think he's likely to be on a snap count early doors with the Vikings because he doesn't really know the offense anymore because he's been away for a few years, even though he's been there before and everything like that. I think for me, I would lean more towards Darnell Mooney because I think that Thielen may not take as many snaps as you think, even though he's probably the second best receiver there at the moment. But so I think
I'm happy with what you're saying there, but Darnell Mooney currently being questionable with a shoulder injury is why this is making it kind of up in the air for me.
So
I'd still risk it.
I read that and I was like, are either of these players going to play? So because I had it in my head, Mooney was injured and Thielen's only just got there. So I was like, well, this is. And surely you've got somebody else. I was going to ask for like option C, to be honest, because there's got to be somebody else in there. I mean, I looked it up. Mooney is back in training, isn't he? But I honestly thought he was out for the first game of the season, and therefore I was going to go Thielen, but I'm not. But Thielen's going to. I agree with H. Thielen's going to be on a snap count, or at least isn't going to be involved 100% of the time anyway.
Yeah, fair enough then. Okay, cheers.
Did we help? Yeah, I don't know.
You did. So I'm re-looking at that team, and this is all on the basis that Jaden Reed doesn't suit up. If Jaden Reed suits up, then it's a moot point.
So you've got an injured Jaden Reed playing through injury, an injured Darnell Mooney potentially not playing through injury, or Adam Thielen, who's about 48 years old and has just arrived in Minnesota.
That's right, yeah. or it's Alec Iomana, however you want to say it, H.
Iomana.
Against the Broncos defense.
Yeah.
In Denver.
Who's yours, Pete?
I would go Thielen, mate. That's where I would go if it was me. So we're not helping each other here.
No, not at all.
Mine is a couple of first round NFL draft picks from the last 18 months. I've got Rome Odunze against the Vikings on Monday night in the new look Ben Johnson offense, or Emeka Egbuka on debut at the Falcons on Sunday?
I do not need to answer that one for you, Pete. You know where I'm going, and I'll explain all later.
I'm going with H as well. For those listening that don't know what H is talking about, he's going 100% Emeka Egbuka.
Yeah,
I think
I'll tell you why it's not a Duns then. If H is going to wax lyrical about Egbuka later on, the reason it's not a Duns is because of the Vikings D. They are going to get after Caleb Williams, and he's going to rely on DeAndre Swift, and he's going to rely on Colston Loveland and Cole Kmet. I don't think a Duns is getting a look in for this game.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I think there's an element of me just thinks the Bears are going to come out with something special on Monday night, because I think Ben Johnson will want it, but we could be completely wrong.
I get your point there. My concern with it is he more likely to just get an offense going with his basics than bring in the hook and ladder plays and stuff like that, which I think he will run for the first few weeks especially. He's going to see what he can get out of Caleb, whether the O-line will protect him. I know Caleb took a lot of sacks, which was his fault last year. He's also started pre-season with, I think he had 11 seconds in a pocket and still managed to get a sack. Like I think with that, I think Ben Johnson will dim down the offense to start with before he starts bringing in the splash plays that he's kind of known for.
Okay, the rookie it is. Thanks, lads.
No worries. Glad I could help.
We're going to kick off Q3 with our ones to watch. This is our first off. We're going to do quarterback, running back, and wide receiver. Obviously, we're not going. Josh Allen would be a great option, and Bijan Robinson is one to watch.
You're joking?
Yeah, you need to redo that if they're the three you're going with, or the two.
I've got Josh Allen, I've got Bijan Robinson, and I've got Jamar Chase.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they will be worth watching, but that's not kind of where we're going with this.
Playing it safe there, H.
Yeah.
So
you know me, mate.
We're going to quickly run through these, and then we've got a couple of new features where Ian's going to focus on tight end every week. H is going to pick his kicker of the week, and I'm going with defense to give you an idea. And then we'll revisit these next week, see how they did in comparison to their peers, etc., and take it from there. Who wants to kick off with their running backs or quarterback, running back, wide receiver? H?
Yeah, I'll fire away. So, quarterback, I've gone with Bryce Young, which is it's a pick that I've always liked. I've always liked Bryce, but there is a little bit of logic behind it as well. So, when he came back from when he came back from the bye week last year, he ended up finishing as QB 12, I think, and he had in week 16 a QB2 finish and week 18 a QB1 finish. He's going up against the Jags defense that was 30th last year in defense. So I like Bryce Young to have a little bit of a good game. I think it could potentially be a little bit of a shootout as well between them, because I think both teams have offenses that could really click. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Dave Canales as well. So I think with that, with Liam Cohen coming in, I think it could be one of them where it's a really good offensive versus defensive battle. I think there's going to be a lot of points, and I think Bryce Young will have a good week. So I've gone with him. RB is one that I know, I think Ian said it earlier to me off air that he really liked this pick as well. And I've gone James Conner against the Saints. The reason being for this one is I think the Saints offense is not great. I think the Cardinals will get up early. They are a run first or run heavy offense. I think they're going to run the ball constantly. They're going to get up, they'll get the points, and then it's just going to be hand it off James Conner, like they did several times last year. You could see Trey Benson stealing some reps as well, but for me, James Conner is the one. And then finally,
my Kyler Murray, Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison team are concerned that you are going to be right on Sunday. So I have 3 of the most expensive draft picks in that league. Just sat there watching James Conner run the ball 30 times.
Yeah. If I was you, mate, I'd take them out for a bit. To be fair, Kyler could end up rushing a little bit. And then finally, my wide receiver is one that we've mentioned throughout the pod. It's Emeka Ibuka. He goes up against the Falcons. The rumours are he is wide receiver 2 going into the game. Granted, because of the injuries to Godwin and to McMillan. I just think he's going to have a really good game. I think he's going to showcase a lot. There's a lot of hype around him being quite a special player from training camp videos and things like that, which we all, everyone looks good in training camp. But I was a huge fan of him coming out of college. I continue to be a huge fan of him now. I think he may take a little bit of attention away from Mike Evans when he goes up against their cornerback 2s. And then he could end up being a really good pick in what could be a little bit of a shootout between 2 divisional teams, because normally the divisional games give you a little bit more spice as well. So, Emeka Ibuka.
I think between us, we're pitching about 5 or 6 shootouts this weekend, and I know that's not going to happen. But, one of us will be right sooner or later. I like the theory around the Ibuka though, because that I'm only about 3 episodes in. I don't know if you've watched Quarterback on Netflix, 3 or 4 episodes in, but before, like the bit I was watching recently with Kirk Cousins, they showed the Tampa Bay, the 2 Tampa Bay games from last year, and they were shootouts. Like he ended up putting 5 touchdowns up in the first one. I was like, because like you say, they are division rivals. I know the Falcons improved their defense in the draft, but I still don't think their defense is up to much. I think they're probably going to have to put up some points, and then for the Buccaneers will fight back. So I quite like those picks, and I'd be interested in terms of, the whole ones to watch mantle that we put on this feature is, I think it'd just be interesting to see how he does in his first game as a rookie. As there's been a lot of hype around him. I think other than Travion Henderson, he's probably been the most hyped up rookie across the summer. So it'd be interesting to see now. It's serious stuff, whether he can hit the height. That's picks. Ian?
Yeah, so my quarterback, and you'll love this, Pete, is Dak Prescott against the Eagles. No Micah Parsons. There is no way the Cowboys are stopping the Eagles from scoring. That is only good news for Dak Prescott and all of his receivers. So the Eagles should be running and scoring heavily, making a statement. First game of the season, divisional rivals, Super Bowl champions. Going to go out there, try and destroy the Cowboys. I think it's going to be quite demoralising on Thursday Night Football for the Cowboys. Yeah. I think Dak is going to have to send it and send it and send it.
Mate, if you gave me 202 with only 1 interception, I would snap your hand off now. I feel like that could be a disaster for the Cowboys, but we'll see. Hopefully, like I said earlier, there'll be some garbage time points.
Probably. My running back is, and it's the only time I will probably ever say this guy's name, is Travis Etienne.
Yes.
Against the Panthers. Now, the reason I think he's one to watch, I think he's got a big point to prove after a very disappointing 2024 season. But this is against the Panthers D that allowed the most rushing yards per game than any other team in the league last season. They invested in the D during the draft. They spent a 2nd and a 3rd on edge rushers and a 5th on an interior defensive tackle. But it's still a good matchup for Etienne to put a marker down and say, right, I am the RB1. I'm still going to be RB1, and I'm going to run all over the Panthers today, and you're not going to drop me again.
I think there's a strong argument for a Jags running back being quite high on the waiver wire pickups next week in terms of the most picked up player, because I think, and again, it leads into that what we're talking about in ones to watch. It could be Etienne, it could be Bigsby, it could be a bit of the other guy. It's like I think it could go, to me, it could go any way, and I think Liam Cohen's purposely kept that to himself through preseason and given them all different snap shares and everything else, just to try and keep everybody guessing. And it could come out and it could just be full on Travis Etienne. Wouldn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, and then my receiver is Matthew Golden against the Lions. High-powered offense, Detroit divisional matchup. Love divisional matchups. I think Jordan Love and the Packers are going to have to come out firing. I think even though we've got Ravens Bills this week, I think this is going to be game of the week. This is the one I really want to watch.
Possibly.
The Packers have got an opportunity to get one over on a Lions D that allowed the 5th most passing yards per game last season. With Hutchinson back, Love might be sending it a bit more quickly. So get it out to Golden out wide, get him to use his feet for yak. And I think Golden's going to be even more relevant if Jaden Reed doesn't actually suit up or suits up whilst carrying an injury.
Nice. I like it. And I agree with you. I think Packers-Lions could be a great game. I know some people don't like this in week 1 because they feel like the better game should be kept. It's the big example being Bills-Ravens, that you should let them get 3 or 4 weeks under their belt and then have them face off against each other. But I'm like, yeah, this week 1 looks exciting to me. There's some good games.
Yeah,
I like those picks, mate.
Good, mate.
I'm not a fan of Golden, but there's somebody, if Reed's injured, and there was talk about him trading Romeo Dobbs, and there's all sorts going on at the Packers, so they are going. Someone's got to step up and catch the ball, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just quickly, mine quarterback. I've already talked about how I think Browns and Bengals could turn into a bit of a shootout. So I've gone Joe Flacco. I think he's back. He's back at the Browns and he's won that job. And I think for at least a few weeks, it's his to lose. And I think he'll just go out with. He's kind of in that part of his career where he's kind of got nothing to lose. So he's just going to go out and sling it around. And I think the Bengals defense will be better this year, but that doesn't take much. So I still think there'll be points to be scored there for Joe Flacco. Running back, I've gone Austin Eckler. There's so much hype around Ja'Cory Merritt that I just think this weekend, and then you already mentioned Austin Eckler, you picked him up in a few leagues, Ian. I think we're going to come out and just realise that actually it's Austin Eckler's backfield now, and there's a couple of players there that are supportive characters.
Just
I hope so.
I believe they've announced Rodriguez as the running back 1.
Really?
Which apparently, I don't know how true it is.
Is RB1? Not a chance.
I heard
that was the rumours I saw today. That is it Chris Rodriguez? He will
Chris Rodriguez, no way.
Is RB1 on the depth chart.
I'm not having the Chris Rodriguez.
Nope. It's Eckler RB1, Jeremy McNichols RB2, Rodriguez RB3, Krosky Merritt RB4.
McNichols? Should throw more names in there.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see how much that is a split though, and how much they rely on Eckler. So I've got Eckler at running back, and my wide receiver. I know was going to cause. There's going to be a few people, including you, Ian, who are like, "Oh, he's going with Jalen Waddle again." But for me, Jalen Waddle this weekend is the start of it's now or never, mate. And I've been in on Jalen Waddle for a long time, but he's coming off the back of an off season where Tyreek Hill's missed the majority of the last month. Jonnu Smith has gone, and Devon Achane is still questionable for Sunday. He's missed that much time. It is your time to shine, Jalen Waddle. If you can't do it against a pretty average Colts team and a pretty average Colts defense, they are going to have to use Jalen Waddle. If he doesn't have a big game on Sunday, I will happily admit next week he's never going to do it. Like, that is where I'm at with Jalen Waddle. It's like everything's aligning for him on Sunday to go out and rip it up, 150 yards, 2 touchdowns, and announce himself as the wide receiver to have this year. And if he doesn't do it, I will start backing away from him.
This has got Kyler Murray vibes. We're
at the point now where a broken clock is right twice a day. If you say Waddle enough times twice a season, you'll be right.
Do you not agree with my reasoning?
I agree. It is now or never.
Yeah.
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 On, you look like you were going to say something.
It's just your Kyler Murray vibes that you had a couple of years ago, and look at you now. You still love Kyler. It's not going to change. There's no way. The thing is, I've said this for a long time. I personally think Jalen Waddle is a great wide receiver. The problem is the quarterback has to get it out too quick, and it limits how good
who's getting
Jalen
out
Waddle
for him?
is.
On Sunday, who's
Well,
getting out?
yeah, true.
They've surely for the last 2 weeks, all they've been working on is getting the ball to Jalen Waddle. If not,
But then
why is he there? Why are they paying him?
Does Cameron Byron then not just follow him all game?
No.
Like the Colts have upgraded with Ward, Byron. One of them has got to follow Jalen Waddle. It makes it tough. The thing, you are right. It is now or never, and I completely agree with you on that. It's just I'm not as keen as you are.
And the thing is, when you've got Jonathan Taylor running all over you for 250 yards, you're gonna have to put some points up, aren't you? So the Dolphins are gonna have to chuck it. So Jalen Waddle, let's see. I'm not saying this is it. I'm not using this as a platform to say he's going to be brilliant. I'm saying he has to be brilliant on Sunday. Otherwise, those of us who believe in him are going to stop believing in him.
Okay.
I love tight ends. Obviously, I'm a little bit biased there, but
right. So my tight end pick of the week, and let me just get that on. There we go.
Hello.
What's going on here?
I can do graphics too, you know.
Graphics and plenty.
You put mine to shame.
I'm going with David Njoku.
Like it.
And we've already covered how high scoring this game's going to be and how bad the Bengals D is. But last season, the Bengals D were the worst in the league against tight ends, giving up an average of 16.6 fantasy points per game, which is huge. Some other contributing factors to this is that the middle of the defense is potentially going to be weaker than last year. We've lost Jermaine Pratt to the Raiders and Akeem Davis-Gaither to the Cardinals during the offseason, which leaves our 3 starting linebackers as Logan Wilson, who is coming back from a long-term injury from last year that ended his season, and 2 rookies, Demetrius Knight and Oren Burks, our 2nd and 3rd round picks. So David Njoku is going up against a relatively inexperienced middle of the field, and he can absolutely dominate these guys. Not Logan Wilson, because he's a hero. Again, with the Browns short on running backs, with Judkins still not signed, and the Bengals offense potentially scoring heavily, Flacco's going to be airmailing it.
Yeah, like it.
I would get Njoku loaded up for a huge game.
He's in my game day team.
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he actually? Yeah.
Yeah.
Get him.
Yeah.
I think you said it a couple of weeks ago, Pete, didn't you? That you liked Njoku week 1.
Yeah. I'm not sure I like him after week 1, because I think I've drafted him in a couple of teams because I like him week 1. So
kickers are people too. You know what I'm saying?
So with the kicker, I've gone with games where I think it's going to be quite tight and going to be a little bit of a shootout and kickers are going to be needed. And one of the more reliable boots is Jason Myers, who is the Seahawks kicker. Finished as kicker 12 last year, going up against a tough San Fran team. There's likely that he's going to have field goal opportunities, not field goal. And I think he, kickers are real people too. They're golden. So yeah, I've gone Jason Myers. I think he's going to. I think there's the element of it could be a bit of a shootout, but also the red zone's going to be key, and sometimes the kickers may not. The kickers are going to be needed just to get those 3 points. I don't think it's going to be one of them games where a lot of teams are going to go for 2 either. So, as in go for 4th and 1 and things like that. So, Jason Myers for me.
Like it.
Sorry, Pete. I thought you were done, mate.
It's all right, mate. That's fine. We will. Like, this is all.
We'll get better. We'll get better.
We'll get better at this. Hopefully, if you're watching it, you're like, "Oh, this is quite funny to watch," rather than "This is an absolute shambles. What is going on here?" So, to be fair, if you've got this far with us, you know that we're not like ultra professionals. So it's all good.
Yeah. If you came here for professionalism, you are severely lost.
Yeah, and you stopped watching ages ago. So at this point, we're fine.
My new graphics are brilliant though, so you know.
There's one obvious defense to me this week, and so I didn't pick it because it was that obvious. I was like, I don't think I can go with the Broncos against rookie quarterback Cam Ward because every quarterback struggles when they go into Mile High against that team, and that is potentially the best defense in football, I think, this year with the additions they've made. So that was the obvious one. But if I was looking around at teams, and I was like, most leagues are going to have the Broncos drafted because people will just plug and play them all year. So I went with one that I know both of you are going to like because I've seen you picking them up on various things since I wrote it down, and that's the Arizona Cardinals at the Saints. We've already talked about the Saints and how they might struggle. They've eventually, they've had one of the worst QB battles I think the NFL have ever seen this summer, and that's in a summer when Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson have been going up against each other. So I think it's worse than ours.
Do you think calling it a battle is adequate?
It was
the fisticuffs.
I think it's been kind of like no, after you. Oh no. After you. No, I insist.
So they've gone with the more experienced Spencer Rattler, who played 7 games last year. In all of those, he played at least 62% of the snaps. 5, he basically played all the snaps in those 7 games. He threw 4 touchdowns and 5 interceptions. He's not going to light anything up on Sunday. I like Kellen Moore. I think he's a good play caller. But the fact that it took him so long to pick between 2 below average quarterbacks is not a great sign. And I think they will be handing the ball off to Kamara and just trying to keep it pretty simple and pretty basic. And I think the Cardinals have improved defensively year on year the last couple of years. I think we were an underrated defense last year. I think they'll be really good this year, and I think it'll start on Sunday. The bonus with picking the Cardinals as well is they've got a pretty favourable matchup. I think they've got the Panthers at home in week 2 as well, so you can sort of carry that one into week 2 as well. So I thought it was worth adding.
Yeah, just Pete.
So we will look at all those. We'll at the start of next week, we'll come back and have a look at how those 3 various predictions especially performed, and we'll keep doing that across the season. For Q4, we do our little prime time preview, and what a slate it is. We've got some really good games to look forward to this week. We've got 4 games in total. We'll just quickly go through them. I think we've touched on most of these games in one point or another during the pod anyway. Thursday night kick us off. Super Bowl champions, Cowboys are in town. Ian, you've already talked about it. The Eagles are a 7.5 point favorite. I don't think that's enough. I think they win this by at least 10. Anybody disagree with me?
No, I can't disagree with that at all. It's going to be so one-sided.
Yeah, I really hope it isn't for various reasons, but one, because I'm getting up in the middle of the night to watch it, so I'd quite like to see a really good game. But I think there is a chance, but by the third quarter they're 20 points clear, and we're just like I say, hopefully then the Cowboys get some garbage time points from our fantasy teams.
But it would be nice to see Joe Milton.
Yeah. Apparently, he didn't look very good in preseason. That's what I heard.
I don't know. He had some moments. He had some moments that were good and some moments that weren't. He throws the ball ridiculously hard. There's a few plays where I think there was somebody that ran like a 10 and out, and he probably overshot him by about 10 yards, and it was just a rocket, and it was like just so unnecessary because like the wide receiver's so open, you could have just like proper H-throwed it.
There's no touch. There's no touch.
Yeah,
it's just you having bullets.
Yeah, but if it does come down to a Hail Mary, he's got the arm to do it. Like he'll do a 70-yard Hail Mary for you.
We have seen. All I will say is we have seen in these week 1 matchups, first game on the board, that you never know what's going to happen, and like the Cowboys will have a few things up their sleeve, I'm sure. I don't think all joking aside, I don't think we'll see Joe Milton. I think even if they're 3 touchdowns down going into the fourth quarter, it's like you're going to need to get your offense going. So
Yeah.
I think it makes sense to keep Dak out there. Maybe he can make it look a little bit closer. But I mean, we're in a couple of prediction leagues and survivor leagues and stuff, and I've hammered the Eagles on all of them because I just don't see any other result, if I'm honest. And then this week we've got Friday night football as well. So Friday night football, Chiefs at Chargers, which I think should be a much better game from Brazil. What a great way to start the season. I've got to say, as someone who tends to go to at least one international game a year, because obviously we live in the UK and we get 2 or 3 in London, I'm a big fan of the international series. I don't think you should have divisional games outside of the country, though. I feel like this is a little bit unfair to the Chargers. But
to give up a home divisional game to the Chiefs as well.
Yeah, I don't think that.
Like if it was the Raiders, the Chargers be like, yeah, all right, we'll chance it with the Raiders.
Yeah, I think this is a little bit unfair. But that said, anything can happen. Anything can happen week 1, and the Chargers have got a pretty good record against the Chiefs, so I definitely wouldn't count them out of this one.
Yeah, I edge it to the Chargers ever so slightly. This is the one that I think the Chargers win in the divisional matchups. I think the Chiefs will win the other one, but this is the one that I had the Chargers winning. I think the Chargers are just going to improve again. They made a huge jump last year. I said it. I think it was a couple of episodes ago with Harbaugh. They've now got Najee Harris back in training as well. So I think that it could be a huge boost for them to get going, kickstart the season. And I have them just sneaking this one. I think it's going to be a great game, though, and close, but I have them sneaking it.
Yeah, this is one I think has got more chance of going to the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I think it's going to be touch and go. I don't really see it being a high-scoring game. I don't think anyone's going to get 10 points ahead of the other.
No.
I think you are right, H. Getting Najee Harris back is a blinding result for the Chargers.
Oh, that's got to be at least the 3rd time you've tried a Najee Harris joke.
It's the 3rd punt. At least this time he's admitted that he's tried to throw it in there.
To be fair, last week's just completely accidental. But yeah, I've got the Chargers edging it, which means that the Chiefs are definitely going to win.
Travis Kelce's going to have a stormer as well.
Yeah, of course he is.
I don't know how I feel about it. It's hard to. I really like the Chargers, and I don't know how much Najee Harris is actually going to play. I think it'll be mainly Marion Hampton, and they've got a lot of weapons. You just can't. I think the Chiefs D is as good as it. I think they'll want to come out and make a point, especially because they lost the Super Bowl. I think they're gonna come out with a point to prove, and I don't know if you can look past the Chiefs. I'd quite like to see. I think for the good of the NFL and for the good of that division, I think the Chargers winning it in week 1 would stoke a bit of a fire under the whole division. Whereas if we're sat here next week and it's like, oh, the Chiefs 1-0, the Chargers are 0-1, it's like we all pick the Chargers to win that division. I know it's only one game, but one game against one of your rivals like that is pretty hard to recover from. You're going to have to go to Arrowhead and win.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest bit. They would have to go to Arrowhead and win. So for me, I think I had one win up on the Chargers. If they lose this one, I have the Chiefs then going up winning it.
Week 1 can be all important, as the Bengals found out last year.
And the year before. And the year before that.
On that point, before we get to Sunday Night Football, all 3 of our teams will have played by the time we get to Sunday Night Football. We've touched on the Bengals a little bit. Are you feeling more positive this year? All right, Jameis.
For those of you listening, Ian has done the Jameis Winston dub and decided to eat it.
Yeah, the Bengals are winning.
Yeah. Do you know what the one difference I think this year, and I know this record goes on for several years, but it feels like the last couple of years have either been disrupted by Burrow injury or Chase contract or a bit of both. And this year feels like the first time that you've just had a pretty, other than the Trey Hendrickson news, which is...
And the Shamar Stewart news.
Not ideal. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think in terms of the offense coming out and clicking, again, when you're watching quarterback last week, when I was watching quarterback last week, you see that they go back to that week 1 game and Joe Burrow just getting hammered left, right, and center. I just feel like they're going to be a little bit more ready this week.
Yeah, well, we've taken preseason a bit more seriously, and we've given our starters way more reps than we have done in previous years. I think last season Joe Burrow got 1 series in our 3rd game before the season started. This year he has played a part in every preseason game.
Yeah,
I think being more. I've said this a few times. It's why I'm still a little bit nervous about James Cook. Is I think having the preseason, having the fitness and everything like that, and getting clicking straight away is key. And with the Bengals, it's like you said there, Pete, it's probably the first time in a long time they've not had a disrupted preseason. So I think they will start strong this year. So
yeah, I agree. And at the same time, the Colts. I mean, I know neither of you are particularly high on the Colts. We host the Dolphins, but I'm assuming if you think Jalen Waddle's not going to do anything and Johnny Smith's not there and H.M. might not be there, and we've all written off Tyreek Hill, that the Colts win this easy.
this is one of the only games I have the Dolphins winning.
Yeah.
The thing with the Colts is that I don't think there's enough there for them to really impress. I think you've improved massively on the defense. The quarterback situation is just horrific. Dan Jones can do it. He did it with the Giants, but with the Giants he had Saquon Barkley next to him who was able to hand it off, which is why I'm really high on Jonathan Taylor. If you listen to me, that's why I'm really high on Jonathan Taylor. My problem is that there's just nothing. The defense isn't. They've improved the defense, but it's still not great. And I just don't see the Colts doing much. I'm sorry, Pete.
But we're going to win on Sunday.
Okay, you go for it, pal.
Do you not think we're going to win on Sunday? No.
I think
Nick all these points for the Dolphins. Then, if you don't think Jalen Waddle's going to do it,
Nick Westbrook-Akine, 200 yards and 2 TDs.
I give up. Let's move on. I mean,
although Westbrook-Akine will be cheap as chips on Fantasy Gameday.
Yeah, I would. I'd just like to say, obviously, I'm a staunch Colts fan, despite what I said earlier in the year when I was like, I might move away from this. But if the Colts lose this game, but Jalen Waddle goes for 200 yards and like 3 touchdowns, I will still be pretty happy next week. So I'm hopefully in a win-win situation. Then in the late window, and just for those who are tracking it, we've got 8 in the early window and 4 in the late window, which is the kind of maths that I like.
I think it's only you that tracks it.
Yeah, well, it's important to me, but that's the kind of. I don't need any more than an octabox. That doesn't need. We don't need any more than 8. That's enough to track. And you should have 4 in the late window. We've got Rams at Texans, and that's going to be a tough game.
Yeah, I think it's a real tough game to start out. I think the front 7 of the Rams is going to really test this new offensive line. We're going to see what it's kind of made of. I like that the Texans have got a set offensive line. They've been dealing with that throughout training camp. It sounds like the left tackle is quite good. Always been impressive because he's taken over from Cam Robinson, who we paid $12 million to be our left tackle this year. So it sounds good. I think
preseason everybody's quite good. So
yeah,
let's see if he's still quite good in 3 weeks' time.
If your rookie is kicking out a 10-year vet who's getting paid $12 million for the year, like it sounds a little bit more impressive than somebody who's on a veteran minimum contract that he's beat out. I think the run game's going to be key for us. If we can get something going, I think it'll be.
It's Nick Chubb, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Nick
I
chubbing
think-
along through.
I think it's going to be a really low-scoring game. I think both defenses are brilliant, so I think it could be a very low-scoring game. And I personally have the Rams winning this one, but ever the optimist.
Well, your offensive line has no backbone, and their quarterback has no back, so it's going to be pretty similar. It's just going to be a bit of a mess. But they have got Kyron Williams, so
I reckon you've got a good chance of sneaking a win here.
yeah, I do.
I think it's a tough first fixture.
Should be a good game. I mean, unfortunately, I'll be watching Packers Lions, but I'm sure I'll watch it back in 40 minutes on Monday. Which brings us on to Sunday Night Football. Ravens at Bills. It's a rematch. It's a rematch from the playoffs. I suppose it's just a case of who comes out, who's had the better training camp, and who comes out faster. Really, where's your money?
So for me, the key factor is James Cook and the lack of preseason, and I don't think the Bills will be able to establish the run as much, and that's why I'm leaning to the Ravens slightly. That's my only concern with the Bills is how long it's going to take James Cook to get back, because when he is back, they look brilliant when they can run the ball. And I know they've got Ray Davis, but he's not quite the same as James Cook or Derrick Henry on the other side of the ball. So I've gone Lamar just edging this one.
Fair enough. I've gone the other way. I think the Bills have got enough. I've backed the Bills to go all the way this year. I think we all did, didn't we?
Yeah.
We've all got the Bills winning the Super Bowl in our predictions. And I think this is a good time for them to really put the foot down, get a huge win against someone that they could be seeing again later in the playoffs.
I agree. I think they'll start hot. I think they'll have a couple of games in the middle of the season where they have a bit of a blip, and then they'll get it back together, and then they'll go on their playoff run. I fancy them to potentially tie up. I can't remember whether I said this or not, or whether I called it at all. But I fancy them to potentially tie up the number 1 seed or get very close to it as the season goes on. And then Monday Night Football, we touched on it a little bit. Vikings at Bears, just for reference, Bills are a 1-point favorite, which is basically just mild home advantage, I suppose. Monday Night Football, Vikings at Bears. Vikings are 1.5-point favorites, so not as favored as I thought they might be. From what you were saying earlier, Ian, sounds like you still fancy the Vikings.
I still do fancy the Vikings. I don't think I don't think it'll be a high-scoring affair. I think the Vikings, they will certainly get after Caleb Williams. The amount of times they blitz, they like to show loads of pre-snap motions on the D. They'll send all sorts of funky packages down at Caleb Williams. I don't think the Bears will be able to get much going. I also don't know what we're going to get from JJ McCarthy, whether he's going to be able to lead this team in the way that Sam Darnold did last year. So I think it'll be touchy, it'll be chippy, and it'll be tight. But I think the Vikings will win it.
I agree. I fully imagine that by 3:00 on Tuesday morning, having stayed up to watch Thursday Night Football, Friday Night Football, and Sunday Night Football, that I will be sat there watching a 7-9 game, wondering why I'm doing this to myself with a whole week of work ahead. So
thinking to yourself, I should probably go to bed because we'll be doing a podcast later on.
Yes, that's my prediction for what's going to happen. Knowing not only have I got a full week of work, but on Tuesday I've got all of the review of all of the leagues to manage and put in scores into various things for stuff that we've predicted, and I'll have all my waivers to do for Wednesday. So yeah, that's how I feel like Tuesday morning is going to go. But I hope that, as you do with all these games, I hope that I'm wrong and the Bears come out and show something they haven't, and we get a little bit of a game going. Anything to add, H?
I agree. I think the Vikings D is quite strong. I like a lot of their players with Grenard, Ivan Pace, and then Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner could be somebody that makes a huge jump this year. Edge that was really high on last year, who fell to them. I think the Vikings D is the key to this one, even with JJ McCarthy starting his first game. And yeah, I've got them edging it by 3.
So we've predicted a lot on this episode, but the most important bit is now our JMD touchdown treble guarantee. H, who's your man for the touchdown this week?
So I went with an obvious one purely because I think it's going to be one of those games that it's going to be a huge shootout, and I just think it's one of the most obvious ones that you can pick. And I've gone Jahmyr Gibbs against the Packers. I think it's just going to be one of them games where both offenses are going to try and hammer each other, and I think Gibbs will punch a couple in.
Way to stick your neck on the line early.
I know, yeah.
Get them balls on the table.
Week 1, bold.
Yeah. Before we get to next week, if you could ask Laura to give you your bollocks back, so you can use them a little bit more. That'd be good.
The second pick was Derrick Henry, so I went really bold on that one as well.
Ian, have you gone any more off piece than that, or are we really staying safe?
He's gone Saquon Barkley.
No, I've doubled down on Joku.
Okay, I like it. So
that one's bold.
Mine, I want you to remember back. Man's got a story to it. I want you to remember back to.
If you pick Jaden Reed here, I'm walking off.
that would be a good reason to do it. No, I want you to think back to the playoffs last year. The Ravens go to the Bills and they play a barnstormer that finishes with a 2-point conversion to Mark Andrews in the end zone that doesn't quite get completed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And week 1, we're back.
Well, doesn't quite get completed is code for he absolutely dropped a sitter.
Yeah, he drops it. And then he gets a load of abuse and everything goes against him. And week 1, redemption time for Mark Andrews. No Isaiah Likely. He goes out in the first half. Mark Andrews catches a touchdown.
I like it. I do. I like it, Pete.
There's a fork behind it.
If Likely was playing, I would hate it, but I actually quite like it too.
Yeah, I think he's nailed on for a touchdown early doors on Sunday. So that's Jahmyr Gibbs, David Njoku, who actually was my second choice. So good shout, Ian, and Mark Andrews. That is our touchdown treble. We will stick that on socials. I will work out what the odds on the 3 of those happening. It's probably the same as just Njoku and Andrews, to be honest, because I don't think Gibbs is going to move the needle much, but we'll add it in anyway, H, and then we'll revisit next week. I forgot to start my timer, but I'm pretty confident that we've run over an hour. So,
Massively.
Yeah, it's an hour and 22, Pete.
But
so if he's still with us at this point, I apologise. It was that first quarter that completely got us off track. So we will be a little bit more on it next week. I will make sure all 3 of us are on it next week. But it's week 1. We're all excited. Hopefully you are too. So enjoy the NFL. We will see you next week. Follow us on socials at JMD Pod. H is going to add something else.
If you do want to have a go on Fantasy Game Day, you're new to it, use our promo code JMDFS and you'll get your second week on us.
Good point. I forgot about that.
I know you did. That's why I shoehorned it in there right at the end.
To be fair, that's on me because I went early with the next intro, didn't I? So
you
can put that one on me.
We do like the guys at Fantasy Gameday. It's a good product and it's growing all the time. They've got some specific games just for Thursday night football. So if you're as confident on the Eagles as I am, you can get on there, just pick a load of Eagles players and probably win some money.
The 6 o'clock games as well. There's loads out there. It looked really, really good this year. And
now, instead we've gone on for too long, we're talking even further. So follow us on all our socials, like and subscribe, share, tell all your mates, and most importantly, enjoy the football and tune in next week.